The second annual Qatar 1812 km is now complete, and what a race it was for Ferrari. They showed up and arguably had the most dominant prototype entries in the hypercar class, and eventually, this resulted in a monumental 1-2-3 result, and with that, a clean sweep of the podium. But how exactly were the prancing horses able to secure this result? And what does this mean for the rest of the season? Well, in this video, I'll break down all the details on how Ferrari won the 2025 Qatar 1812 km within the World Endurance Championship. Heading into this season, Ferrari were already one of the favorites to fight for the title. They had technically been within reach of the championship during the last 2 years, and of course had won Le Mans on every occasion that they competed at for overall victory. Once again, like before Qatar, Ferrari would bring 3 of their 499P entries all entered by AF Corsa, although the number 83 yellow 499P has been continued to be classified as a privateer entry, and therefore it doesn't contribute to the manufacturer's championship points no matter where it finishes. Heading into this race in particular, Ferrari looked strong. The prologue and practice sessions from the brand gave us an indication that they were going to be up at the front, and that is exactly what would happen later on. And even though finishing results in those sessions don't matter as much compared to qualifying and the race, Ferrari did secure a clean sweep of the top 3 positions in Free Practice 3. As we approached race day, during the important hyperpole session, Ferrari AF Corsa would grab the overall pole position, with former F1 driver Antonio Giovinazzi setting the pace in the number 51 Ferrari. Meanwhile, the sister number 50 car would start 3rd, while the number 83 customer AF Corsa entry would be starting further down in 8th on the grid. Although, it's key to remember that even before qualifying and the practice and prologue sessions, we knew that Ferrari would likely have a strong car, and that was because of the revealed balance of performance set for the event, which saw Ferrari have better BOP compared to last year's race, and overall they weren't negatively affected by the BOP compared to their rivals like Porsche and Toyota, who were massively affected. At the start of this race, James Calado would hold the lead in the number 51 car, while just like last year, the number 50 Ferrari, this time with Nicholas Nielsen behind the wheel, would have a great start and jumped ahead of Kevin Magnussen's number 15 BMW, and therefore Ferrari's Danish racer would get the number 50 entry into 2nd place, which allowed the Ferrari AF Corsa team to lead 1-2. During this entire event, Ferrari's main competitors were Cadillac and BMW, as both manufacturers had competitive race cars, while Alpine also showed some decent pace, well, at least at the start, with Austrian racer Ferdinand Habsburg putting in an impressive stint and getting that number 35 car up into 4th place. Toyota were somewhat in the fight for some strong points finishes as the race progressed, but ultimately they were no threat to the prancing horses. Meanwhile, Porsche was arguably nowhere on pace, which was the complete opposite of just 12 months ago, when of course Porsche won here at Lusail. With the 2025 race progressing, Ferrari continued to lead 1-2 with those factory cars, and built up a sufficient gap to the rest of the hypercar pack. Meanwhile, the number 83 Ferrari was slowly climbing its way up the order to join the 2 red hypercars at the front. Ultimately, Ferrari ran some very consistent stints in the first hours of this race, which therefore helped them in the long run on strategy, pace, and the gaps behind to their competition. The entries also benefited from some drama involving their main rivals. Magnussen's number 15 BMW from Team WRT, which I mentioned earlier, had some sort of electrical issue, which hurt the car's race, while the number 38 Cadillac, which arguably had the best pace amongst the hypercar field besides the Ferraris, was forced down the order after an unexpected spin at turn 1 caused by contact involving traffic. Otherwise, that particular Cadillac V Series R would have likely caught up to the leading 499P entries. While all this was happening, Robert Kubica's number 83 AF Corsa car benefited from these position changes, and this resulted in the yellow Ferrari catching up to the other 499Ps and getting in contention for the win. Although, it's worth mentioning that Ferrari didn't lead the entire time, as a caution period for the stricken number 61 Mercedes of Christian Reed promoted the two Hertz Team Jota Cadillacs into first and second place overall, and this effectively put Ferrari's chances at overall victory under threat, because as we knew, Cadillac had a very strong car here in Qatar. But as we know now, this is of course not where those two V Series R entries would finish in the race, as they crashed into each other under the safety car conditions, which eventually tumbled the entries down the order, with repairs needing to take place for both the Cadillacs. I can confidently say that this was the most dramatic moment of the event, but obviously this video is about Ferrari and not Cadillac, so I'll talk more about that incident in my race review. Because of the Cadillacs breaking the golden number one rule of motorsports, this handed Ferrari back the lead of the race, and not just first place, but first, second, and third. However, this wouldn't be a drama-free race for the Italian manufacturer, as the number 50 Ferrari and the number 15 BMW would make contact, and this dropped the 499P down to 5th. But thankfully, the number 50 car would return to the front after passing the number 8 Toyota and the number 20 BMW. Later on, the pole-sitting number 51 Ferrari, which had led the majority of this race, would have to serve a drive-through penalty, which would drop the car towards the bottom of the top 10. But inevitably, with the sheer pace of the Ferrari, the number 51 car would move back up to the front, just like the sister car did. But this would hurt the number 51 crew's chances for taking the overall win. The small bits of drama that hurt the factory cars therefore temporarily promoted the yellow 83 Ferrari into the spotlight as the leading 499P of the three entered by AF Corsa. However, that particular car wouldn't stay in first for long, as Miguel Molina moved the recovering number 50 Ferrari ahead of Phil Hansen's number 83 car at turn 1, and therefore the factory Ferrari was back in the lead of the race. This is also ultimately where this Ferrari would stay till the end of the event, as it would be the number 50 Ferrari of Antonio Fuoco, Miguel Molina, and Nicholas Nielsen that would take the season-opening victory in Qatar. The number 83 Ferrari would hold on to barely finish in second, just ahead of the number 51 Ferrari, which would complete a sensational and dominant 1-2-3 result for the Italian manufacturer. Only one other time in history in the hypercar class had a manufacturer claimed the top 3 spots on the podium, and coincidentally, it was here in Qatar just 1 year ago, when Porsche secured first, second, and third with the Penske and Hertz Team Jota entries, following the terrible luck for the number 93 Peugeot. Nielsen, Molina, and Fuoco's number 50 Ferrari's win also gifted the Italian car brand their first factory-entered overall win outside of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, with the only other win for a 499P not at Le Mans coming at COTA by the number 83 car. This achievement also allowed Ferrari to secure their first overall 1-2-3 result in sports car endurance racing for the very first time since 1972, when Jackie Ickx and Brian Redman led away a Ferrari 1-2-3-4 with the new at the time 312 PB entries during the Zeltwig 1000 km race in the World Sports Car Championship held in Austria. Now, as for the season ahead, it's clear that this dominance displayed by Ferrari in Qatar is an indication that they could not just be fighting for more wins in the future 2025 rounds, but for the overall championship as well. The next 3 rounds of Imola, Spa, and Le Mans have traditionally been well suited to the Ferrari cars. The 6 Hours of Imola is of course Ferrari's home event, and they arguably had the best car last year. Then at Spa, they could have won that race if it wasn't for the red flag for the massive crash involving the number 2 Cadillac. And obviously Le Mans will be their race to lose, because they are the manufacturer to beat, having won the last 2 events in 2024 and 2023 beforehand. So to me, this result at Losail really shows that 2025 could be a very strong year for this legendary Italian marque. So that was a breakdown of the dominant 1-2-3 result for Ferrari at the 2025 Qatar 1812 km. What did you think about Ferrari's most recent overall victory at the season opener for the World Endurance Championship? And can they keep up this performance throughout the rest of the season? Well, I'd be interested to know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like endurance racing, definitely subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I'm releasing videos on a weekly basis regarding the WEC, IMSA, Intercontinental GT, and much more. To watch more content now, check out these suggested videos I've put on screen. For now though, that's all from me. Thanks for watching.